the racial demographics of the affected schools.
So the new plan does not address the racial demographics of the schools. We were very clear from the very beginning that we are going to educate the children that have not been served for the last 2 decades in these schools. We are not going to seek to do any sort of engineering. We are going to seek to serve the children who are sitting in our seats every day that have not been served for 2 decades, period. So it did not come up as a construct that we would be making this a magnet school, because one of the complaints that came about was when we made...
In terms of there is some project work in a 7-year capital plan around the HVAC system. At this point in time, there's no project on the books around additional natural light. We've studied the issue of natural light at Peabody, even to carve out if you're facing the
Chris, I don't think everybody can hear you. You might need to come to the mic. I'm sorry.
Cost to add some additional windows on those 2 facades, and you're into pretty significant dollars. It was over $10 million just to add some natural light to those 2 facades. What you run into at Peabody is as soon as you puncture the fabric of that building, you start having to do additional work and adding capacity, because the HVAC system isn't built to handle additional openings into the facade. And then that in turn entails additional electrical capacity. We're pretty much at the, anything else you add at Peabody, you need more additional electrical capacity. So you end up spending a lot of money on things that nobody can see to add just a little bit of natural light.
Thank you. 6 to 12, the space for both high school and middle school teams.
So the answer to that question is really simple. And the paradigm that is a problem is the problem of merging 2 schools into one without a conversation. And so what happened at Pittsburgh Reisenstein with respect to the use of the facilities were 2 adults trying to figure out how to 2 schools trying to figure out how to use the same gyms. So there was not a conversation amongst the adults. Imagine this at Pittsburgh Brashear several years ago, where South Hills exists and Brashear High School exists. They were having the exact same conversation even though they had 2 gyms. So this is not about facilities, it's about a conversation with adults to meet the needs of all the kids in the building. Because once the conversation took place at Pittsburgh Brashear, the issue was resolved. Similarly here, the Young Men's Academy, Young Women's Academy will work together to develop a schedule of how athletics are done in the building. This is not rocket science. It really is about folk talking about a schedule so that the needs of the youngsters are met in their sports. We have state-of-the-art facilities here. We have a state-of-the-art weight room. We have a state-of-the-art recreation room. We have a very nice gym. We have a lot of things and amenities in this building we want to utilize for all of our kids, so none of our kids are shortchanged. So it is a conversation between the administrators of the buildings that will make that happen.
Have the facilities reconfiguration questions A+ schools submitted to the district been answered, and where can they be viewed?
So the questions that were submitted by A+ schools, we actually forwarded to A+ schools today, the answers, and they're actually posted on our website. And they're posted on our website with respect to the questions in there under the heading A+ schools questions regarding XL 912. So they've been posted as of today.
The district stated at the August 2nd board meeting that, quote, current and future Peabody students have enhanced educational options. Future students in the region will have the choice to attend any of our programs district-wide, including the 2 programs at Pittsburgh Malayan 6 to 12 and the reconfigured Pittsburgh Westinghouse, end quote. Can you please clarify this statement? Will future students in the current Peabody feeder have complete choice to attend any Pittsburgh Public School for their grade level?
So before I answer that question, Mr. Sumter wanted me to make sure that if there is someone who does not have online access and would like a copy of it, we could probably get your name here or not the issue. The issue is that the federal regulations are very clear that single gender education cannot be mandated for free. But parents need to be apprised of the fact that single gender education is going on, and made a choice made available to them in case they choose not to attend the school that is single gender. So if it's a single gender school altogether, meaning all male or all female, co-educational classrooms have to be available to them in another site. And that other site is University Prep for this particular plan. If it is a school, if there are single gender classes within a school, then they just have to have single gender classes available in that school that parents can adopt or go into. And so Westinghouse, if your staff can be rehired in the school, so that's a reconstitution space. You can charter the school, or you can close the school. That's one of 4 things that we can do. So our application, if you look at the fiscal note presentation from August the 2nd, our applications to the federal government have detailed the models that we're putting into place for the Westinghouse Single Gender Academies, for the Early College at Oliver, for the work that we're doing in the Teachers Academy of Brashear and the Teachers Academy at King. It details the fiscal commitment of the district, that the district will have to make, as well as the fiscal commitment that we're making with respect to federal funds. And so we cannot just simply spend money at our discretion anymore. We actually have to target it at our persistently low performing schools. And that's what we have done, and should the board adopt this plan, that's what will make this plan sustainable over time. Working to make sure that the programs that we put into place stay into place for the kids that we're seeking to serve.
Next question, actually starts with a comment. 6 to 12 was not recommended by the parents. Question, my child is a student at Pittsburgh Peabody, and I have a choice which school he will attend. If I pick Pittsburgh Lions, can my son, who will be leaving Pittsburgh Lincoln due to closure, have sibling preference and be able to attend Pittsburgh Lions with his brother?
That is a really good question. So I'm not going to try to answer that on the fly. I will promise if you put your name on this card, I don't want to answer this name on the fly because I don't know the answer fully. So if you put your name on the card and your address, I will get that answer to you. Yes, ma'am.
Next question. What teaching techniques or approaches will be different in the boys and girls classes?
There will be a 3-week intensive session put together for all the teachers that are actually hired for the extended day, extended year programs in these buildings. In that training, we will talk with noted experts in the field, Dr. Leonard Sachs and Dr. Pedro Noguero, who were actually quoted in the Post-Gazette article, and actually asked them to come into the city to provide some of the training regarding those issues in the schools. In addition, we're going to work with, you cannot just have experts telling you what's going on. You actually have to have the adults who are going to be doing the work inform the work that is going on. We actually have had several pilot classrooms in the district over the last couple of years, and we're going to be talking with some of the teachers who have been in those pilot classrooms at Westinghouse, Peabody, and the Lions to draw upon their expertise on the ground here in Pittsburgh as well. And we also have one of our own, Dr. Jennifer Murphy, who did her doctoral dissertation on single gender academies, the Young Women's Leadership Academy in Harlem, that will also be working with us. And she has been an educator in the district for many years, and she knows the population of students that are here. So there will be significant training for 3 weeks. It will be a clear conversation about what learning styles there are, how they're nested in the community that we currently sit, and clearly making sure that we're not pandering to stereotypes and all of the things that people are finding objectionable about this. Because one of the things we want to do is make sure that the model has efficacy, and it has actually some level, it has a true level of implementation, so that we can actually meet the needs of the youngsters that are being served by it.
Thank you. What are the cost ramifications for duplicating CTE programs at 3 different locations? How will programs that have 40 students per program operate? 600, and in parentheses, there are 600 students in CTE, 17 programs, average of 40 students per program.
The Career and Technical Education plan has been on the radar of the Board of Directors for Pittsburgh Public Schools for the last 9 years I know of. I've read memos back that far, up to and including a plan to build a full CTE center on Oak Hill. And so one of the things that we talked about and wanted to make sure that we did in the programs that we designed in the district was to make as many programs available as possible to students across the district, while making best use of our facilities that require large infrastructure investments. And so the things that we decided we needed to make sure, and we based this upon the high priority occupations in the western region of Pennsylvania, as well as those things that you cannot outsource. So the high priority occupations in the western region of Pennsylvania are health careers and business and entrepreneurship. We know that we have to have those programs in western Pennsylvania because this is where startup companies are, this is where the health careers are. In fact, we talk about meds and eds all the time. We cannot outsource cooking and we cannot outsource cosmetology. And so we said we wanted to make available to the students in each of the 3 regions programs that offer options for kids in all 3 regions in health careers, business, finance, information technology, and culinary arts. That's why we have them in 3 different locations. What we could not do is build an auto body shop in all 3 regions because that is a significant investment in infrastructure. So Brashear has the auto body because that's where it's always been. We could not reinvent the machine welding that was at Langley. So Langley has a signature program. The cosmetology lab that is here at Westinghouse and the cosmetology lab that is at Oliver are state-of-the-art labs. So we could not duplicate those, so we only have those programs in those 2 regions. We made the best investment possible. The investments that we have for the board are building and trades investments at the early college model at Oliver, because we don't have a significant footprint of any of those programs within the district. And we had HVAC and welding at Conley, and now that's the Green Innovators building. And so we wanted to look at a footprint that was large enough to accommodate all of the building and trades in one area, in conjunction with the programs that are offered at CCAC that give associate's degrees for those areas. So Oliver was the natural location for that space. And CCAC, when we began conversations with Dr. Johnson and his people there, they talked about the fact that to do building and trades in the city, you actually have to go to one of the suburban shops to do that. And there's no building and trades footprint in the city of Pittsburgh. And so the building and trades footprint that we sought to put forth would be put forth at Oliver to make sure that we have that availability for all of our students in the district. CTE is a significant infrastructure investment. And so we tried to maximize the facilities that were currently in place and the space that we have available for all of our kids to have access to those programs. And so that's how we came up with those decisions.
I propose another East End meeting should be held at Peabody before the board votes on EEP and East End Plan. Shelby. Red Logan. Most of you didn't sign it, that's why I read Mr. Logan's name. Apparently there's no answer to that at this point. So that will be taken back and chewed upon.
Superintendent's present.
Where's the superintendent?
Actually, I will address that. The superintendent is, in my opinion, forgive me for what I will state. The superintendent, in my humble opinion, is where we all need him to be right now. He is in Washington, D.C., competing for the Race to the Top funds on behalf of Pennsylvania, and specifically Pittsburgh Public Schools. We could not schedule this meeting such that his presence could be here before, or he could be here, I guess, before the board would receive any tabs, any board tabs on any of these items. This was the best we could do, and I would say it's not too bad. So I'll continue reading questions now.